Welcome to another episode of the Mindset Recruiting Podcast. I'm Alex Rojas, your talent advisor and host. And in today's episode, recruiters wanted now. That's right. It's happening. Recruiters are on the go. And for nearly 30 years, I've had my fair share of starting a new job, going to a new company. So I have the experience behind that. And so a lot of times for us as recruiters, it's mostly an easy transition because this is a skill that is developed through a life cycle process. But there are key steps that we should take to ensure that you last at your new gig. So whether you're in a new role right now, or you're just starting out, or you're thinking about making a move, this episode is for you. And so one of the things that I want to go ahead and really put out there is I try to get a good pulse on what's going on in the marketplace. And there's a lot of activity right now going on, obviously with Doge and the stock market and inflation and trade wars. All those things aside, what I'm seeing right now within my network, there are tons of recruiters that are moving to new jobs, new roles, promotions. And some of the polling that I've done, I'm seeing out here is I'm seeing estimates about 30% of recruiters are transitioning into new roles. About less than 5%, 4 to 5% are actually getting promotions. And what I'm also seeing is about 20% of recruiters are actually looking for new jobs. What this means is that half of the recruiters within the talent acquisition industry are on the move. Stick around for my closing commentary, and I'm going to give you 3 mindsets that you have to have when you're starting your new job. I'm ready. I'm pumped. I'm excited. Let's discuss. So let's tackle these 4 key steps in standing out in your new role, your new job as a recruiter. Number 1, mastering the hiring process. Whether it's a role that you're at a junior level, senior level, or director or VP, the key here is to stay humbled, be a sponge, but also, we heard that saying all the time, drink from the fire hose. And so really what that means is as you go into a new organization, a new company, there's a lot to learn. But one of the most key essential things that you have to master is learn the life cycle workflow, the systems, the infrastructure within the company, within the recruiting team, the tools and resources that you have available, and even more importantly, the CRM and the ATS. And that has to be done quickly. Again, this is a 30-day cycle in which you're trying to make a lasting impression. So you also have to understand that within the hiring process, you have to understand the hiring managers and really what their expectations are and really understand what their decision-making process is like. And that takes a little bit of time. So you have to come out of the gates pretty quickly in understanding who your hiring managers are and connecting with them immediately. And at the end of the day, as recruiters, if you're doing in the full life cycle recruiting realm, now if obviously you're in a management track or leadership track, you're going to be a little bit different with regards to your roles. But the basics here, as far as recruiting fundamentals, it's all about sourcing, screening, submitting, interviewing, negotiating, making offers, closing the deals, and onboarding new hires. The second way to stand out in the first 30 days in your new job, your new role, is to build lasting relationships. You never know where these relationships will lead, the types of connections and opportunities, or who knows, the romance that happens in corporate America from time to time. So listen, jokes aside here, you want to be able to connect with your team members. That's going to be the very first important thing, especially as a recruiter. If you're working maybe on site, it's a lot easier versus working remotely, virtually. You're going to have to make that really kind of be intentional about building those relationships. Understand who your leadership stakeholders are within the company, whether it's on a small, mid, or large enterprise environment. You still have to know who the leaders are. And obviously, you want to make sure that you dive into building a long-lasting relationship with your hiring managers. It's going to be very important to build that rapport and go ahead and get some time on their calendar. So you have to establish trust with your customers. And your customers are all around. They also include stakeholders, so the people in the finance department, human resources, contracts team, right? Whatever it may be, the administrative staff, whoever it is, the stakeholders within your organization, you have to build that trust with them. So it means going cross-functional within your organization as well. And now how you build these long-lasting relationships is making sure that you're setting up some of these phone calls, conversations, maybe perhaps texting, again, whatever your communication environment is. If you're on Slack, if you're on Teams, be proactive, continue reaching out, be able to share some insights, some nuggets, connect on LinkedIn, make those connections, be engaged and be present. Show some enthusiasm and show a level of effort that you care. So the third way that you're going to stand out is going to be by developing your pipeline strategy. And I believe that this is one of the most critical skilled areas as a recruiter and is essential when it comes to building your talent community. A lot of times as recruiters, we're constantly in that kind of sense of urgency mode. And so by doing that, a lot of times we kind of don't take the time during those first initial 30 days to build the infrastructure and the processes that you need so that you can be more effective and fluid and productive with the work that you're going to tackle. And developing a candidate pipeline strategy is critical. So you want to be able to identify the top skill areas that you're going to be focused on. Identify those. They should usually be between 5 to 10 core skill sets that you're going to make a high priority. They are high priority roles within your team, within your organization, or within the company. You want to go ahead and map out all of the internal candidate assets. That means data mining, your CRM, understanding where are all the candidates, how can you go ahead and mine those and funnel them into the proper pipeline so you can have access to those. Obviously, you want to leverage all internal resources as well. So anything dealing with internal talent mobility, with employee referral programs, anything like that that's going to help you build those pipelines, and obviously leveraging your resources as far as job boards and scrapers and things like that. Now, the biggest thing for you to do here is as you're developing the pipeline strategies, you want to get a good pulse on what the ideal candidate profiles look like. You're going to build this pipeline within your CRM. It's not going to be an Outlook. It's not going to be anywhere else. If you don't have a CRM, you got to figure something else because spreadsheets and things like that don't work. Sometimes for smaller companies and organizations, you're very limited. Not many companies do have CRMs and they have to kind of makeshift it with an ATS. That's okay. But you have to be able to build a pipeline effectively. I have an episode on this where I really focused on building pipeline strategies when it comes to talent pools. Okay, the fourth and final way that you're going to stand out during those first 30 days, I don't want to overload you too much, but you're going to focus on your reputation. That's right, reputation matters. You have to perform at a high level, not at a mediocre level. You got to get out of your shell. If you're an introvert, there's other ways that you can go ahead and circumvent this. Professionalism is the most key here. You want to go ahead and have a professional attitude in how you carry yourself and how you deliver. You want to make sure that you're resourceful, that you're a quick study, that you're learning, you're asking the right questions. This is going to demonstrate your ability to kind of hit the ground running. That's what people want to see. Colleagues, people that have made a decision to hire you, they want to see how long it's going to take you to really hit that ground running and what that learning curve looks like. So be ready to make some recommendations, whether they're tools or gadgets or technology or resources or vendors, or maybe there's some talent communities that you want to go ahead and help other colleagues with. Come up with ideas, contribute when it comes to brainstorming, socialize things that you're learning so that you can appear as though you're resourceful. So the most important thing here, though, as you're going through this and as you're focusing on your reputation is you got to get that first hire, right? Or that first assist, whatever it might be, has to happen as soon as possible, within days, weeks, definitely within that first month. Try to make your first deliverable, whatever that might be. If it's not a hire, it's going to be your first submittal. It's going to be your first interview. It's going to be your first meeting. It's going to be your first briefing. Make it a memorable occasion, and that's going to help you out significantly with your reputation. reputation. Okay, so it's closing commentary time. I'm going to give you 3 mindset actions that can make an impact during those first 30 days. So these are quick 3 takeaways that you can apply immediately. So this is going to be kind of a mindful exercise that you want to go to. So basically, the first thing is going to be first impression. That's right. First impressions matter. They're important. We hear this throughout our entire life, but a lot of times we kind of lose sight of that. So that means little things like showing up on time, the art of making small talk, right? Talk about the weather, talk about your sports team, talk about your weekend, talk about your family, your kids, but go ahead and get into storytelling mode whenever you do make small talk. And don't forget to ask questions, be inquisitive and be curious about the other person. And most importantly, make sure that you follow up. If there is an action for you to take that you need to do with a colleague, with a coworker, with your boss, go ahead and do the follow-up. It's really important. The second mindset action is going to be find a mentor or a buddy. This is probably an obvious one, but it's something that we don't really do unless companies really promote that. So you have to go ahead and create that. If it's not within your culture, your company's culture, to go ahead and assign a buddy or identify a mentor for yourself, go ahead and find somebody that's got a good reputation. Learn from them. Be fast. Avoid the mistakes and make sure you have somebody to go ask all the dumb questions to. You got to have somebody in the company that you can ask the dumb questions that you're kind of embarrassed about sometimes. Okay, number 3, the mindset action that you can take is personalizing your brand. And this is so important because you got to let people know a little bit about yourself, not only within recruiting, but even beyond recruiting. So that means, what are your hobbies? What are your interests? Things of that nature. That's going to help really let them into your world. Now, if you do have a professional branding when it comes to recruiting, like myself, I'm trying to brand myself outside of my basically my day in, day out work life. And so there's things that you can do on social media to demonstrate that. But branding yourself on a personal or professional level can go a long way. So this is a good thing that we're experiencing right now. This is a time now where for the last couple of years in the recruiting talent acquisition space, feels like we've been in the desert. It's kind of coming to an end right now because a lot of the activity and movements that we're seeing with a lot of recruiters switching jobs. But how long is this going to last? It's going to be important for you to stay connected, stay engaged, and make sure that you communicate with colleagues, coworkers, former coworkers. Just do some posts, be active on these social networks, be active on LinkedIn. I hope this episode was informative. Please remember to like, to subscribe, and to comment and to share. And until next time, remember, it's all about the mindset.